Hey everyone, it's the Snowman. We're gonna do my favorite things of 2024. We got a whole bunch of stuff to go through, so let's do it. Hey everyone, it's the Snowman with TooLoudTooOldMusic.com. Welcome back to the collection. It's been a while. I haven't done a lot of these over the last few months, but I figured I would try to do a wrap up of my 2024 and what I found that I liked, whether it be new releases, live albums, reissues, or just some of my favorite finds of 2024. Now, as far as new music goes, I really didn't get into a lot of it. Um, I don't know. I was spending a lot of my time just doing the Def Leppard and the Bon Jovi series that took up a lot of time. And I was also really getting into a bunch of older stuff, box sets from UFO, some reissues that Noble Records was doing. So a lot of my time was not spent on the new stuff. It was more spent on older releases and stuff. And we'll go through a few of those because I've got a few. But as far as new releases, there are a few that I did like, so that's a good thing. And I'll go through those. Starting off, as I mentioned, I got that UFO box set, so I was really into UFO this year. And Phil Moggs released his new album, The Moggs Motel. Uh, the voice of UFO. I love him. And this one's great. I mean, just a whole bunch of great songs. What do I have? 13 tracks if you include the bonus track. Um, just so many really good songs. His voice is still in great shape. So if you're a big UFO fan, then the Moggs Motel is going to be a great release for you. Um, but that wasn't the only UFO thing that came out this year that I really liked. And this might have been one of my absolute favorites of the year, which is Michael Schenker's My Years with UFO, his 50th anniversary celebration. This thing is chock full of their hits, but what's really cool about it is all the guests that he has on here. Dee Snider, Joel Hoekstra, Joey Tempest, Roger Glover, Joe Lynn Turner, Slash, Eric Ronwell, Carmen Appice, Axl Rose, Jeff Scott Soto, Stephen Piercy. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So you want to check this one out. It's real well worth it. Some really great stuff on here. Um, it's the Michael Schenker, My Years with UFO. Highly recommend that one. Probably one of my favorite ones for the year. And earlier this year, um, Judas Priest came back with Invincible Shield. I got the hardback book from Target. Oops, the sticker fell out, but there's the sticker. Um, this one's on CD. It's got a little booklet with all the lyrics and stuff in there. But Invincible Shield, man, it just showed they still have it. I mean, they've been together for 50 years. Panic Attack is just a great opener among many others. There's 14 total songs on the Target edition. Three are bonus tracks. So this is worth picking up if you're a Priest fan and if you haven't done it already. And then another one of my favorite CDs that I got this year was the Tak Matsumoto Group. This is TMG number 2, and I love it because it came in this long box from Japan. Um, and then there's a bonus DVD on it that's a live show that's definitely worth checking out. So there's the TMG Live from 2004 with the new album on the other side or on the other disc. I don't know if I like it. I really like it. But I might still like the first one better just because it was so fresh and new. Uh, I hate we had to wait 20 years for the next one, but that's the way it goes. The last CD that I got, it's not really a new album, but it's a greatest hits album by him. I've always been intrigued by them, and this is the first album I've owned by them. And yeah, it is a greatest hits, but it's 16 tracks of just wonderful goth metal, whatever you want to call it. And I really love that one too. So that's the CDs of the new releases. Now, as far as vinyl goes, I got a few of those as well. And as far as vinyl and CDs, it just depends on the artist and what I've collected in the past, whether I got a CD or a vinyl. Sometimes I get both. It just depends on the artist. One band I get all the vinyl for is called the Wild Feathers. This is called Sirens. It just came out a couple months ago, and this is probably my favorite album of the year, if I had to pick one. Just a alt kind of country band. Um, I wouldn't say they're normal, typical country. That's why I said kind of like alt country or indie country, however you want to call it. But just so many great songs. Stereo, Pretending, LA Makes Me Sad, Slow Down, Sleep for Days, Come Down. Just a ton of great, great tracks on here by the Wild Feathers. You know, give them a stream if you haven't checked them out before. Definitely worth a listen. Another band that came out with a new album this year after 20 something years of being together, Collective Soul, Here to Eternity. What this is a fantastic double album. It's 20 songs, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and what they did is they kind of did a celebration of Collective Soul, and they're all new tracks, but they're kind of got the sounds from different time periods of the band. You can hear what sounds from the debut album, from the albums in the later 90s, the 2000s, and even more of a recent sound that they've had. Uh, but yeah, just 20 songs of Collective Soul. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So that was Here to Eternity, one of my favorites of the year. Um, and then I've got Ace Frehley, 10,000 volts. Yeah, I might have complained about it a little bit when it first came out, but it's Ace Frehley. I mean, you know what you're going to get. So I have enjoyed it. There are a lot of really good songs on here. The first side is just really strong. 10,000 volts, Cherry Medicine. But then you get to the backside and Fighting for Your Life. Fighting for Life is probably one of my favorite Ace Frehley songs in decades. It's that good. So I still give kudos to Ace Frehley for 10,000 volts. I'm always happy to get new material. I don't necessarily want the origins. I know I've heard rumors that Volume 3 is going to come out in 2025. Don't know if that's true or not. Not really excited about that. Um, the first one was okay. The second one, I mean, I'd rather have just new songs of his. And then another new album that I've got. Creed was really big this year. They got back together on tour, but this is Scott Stapp, Higher Power, his latest solo album. This came out earlier in the year, before the Creed tour and everything took place. Um, I love Scott Stapp. I love his voice. His solo stuff is very different from Creed. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's not quite as heavy. Um, but yeah, just a great lot of usually his solo albums are very personal, almost biographical. So they're worth checking out if you would want to get it too. This is Higher Power by Scott Stapp. Um, and there are a couple live albums that came out this year that I really, really liked. I spent a lot of time with Ghost right here, right now, which they released a movie for this. So just a great set. If it, I don't know if it's going to be there, but a great set list. Um, if you like Ghost, worth checking out. Quasi metal, I guess. Their sounds changed a lot over the time they've been together. And then Def Leppard released live one night only, live at the Lead Mill in Sheffield. This album vinyl was a record store day release. They have since released it on CD and DVD and Blu-ray, so you can get it on CD, you can get a Blu-ray to watch it, or you can listen to it on vinyl. This thing is just fantastic because it was a little club, very more of a personal setting, much more approachable, not the big stage show. But they did Fire It Up, they did Slang, they did Kick. So songs from the new album, later albums, they did Mirror Mirror, Look Into My Eyes. They did Excitable. I can't remember the last time they did Excitable, except when they did the Hysteria tour. And they ended it with Wasted. So just a phenomenal set list here by Def Leppard. And so if you get a chance, definitely check that one out. And then I mentioned I spent a lot of time with like older albums and stuff. Our local record store, Noble Records, does these exclusives, and he has his own record label. He released two albums on the label this past year. One was Underground Fire, but out of the two, my favorite was the second one, which is Dry Water Southpaw. Um, it's a great, great record. It's on a what do they call it? Winter ground. What, what is it? Winter ground ice, uh, vinyl color, transparent. But this is just good old 70s hard rock. Um, just fantastic, fantastic album. I got a review coming up if you want more detail on it, and you can check that out coming up in, I think, January. I think it comes in then. Um, and then another one, the rest of these are going to be his exclusives that he released. And so I got four more of those. One of my all-time favorites of that as it released is called Fraction, Moonblood. Um, this is again 1971 heavy psych rock. Um, if you're trying to find an original of this, you're going to expect to pay in the thousands for the originals. There's so few out there. It's been 10 years since they've actually released this on a reissue. A lot of time went into that. You can see it's got the red vinyl. Uh, just amazing. Jim Beach, I think, is the lead singer. Man, talk about someone who puts every ounce of themselves into the vocals and stuff. Just incredible. The guitar work on it, the bass, the drums, all is fantastic. So check that one out if you ever get a chance. Fraction Moonblood. And then he's also had a couple this year that were Southern rock. And normally he does a lot of psych. So I was happy to get some Southern rock. And one of my favorites was Tennessee River Crooks on this really pretty, like mint green vinyl. And it is true. It's just Southern rock. Think Skinner, think Allman Brothers, even a little bit folksy into it at times. Just incredible, incredible music to listen to. And if that wasn't enough good Southern rock, they reissued Mammoth. And this one is actually from like 1981 Southern rock. The Tennessee River Crook was like 74 type of thing. This is just one of those that I had heard about back in the day, never ever heard it. They grew up in that scene of, kind of outlaw Southern rock with same as Leonard Skinner but yeah, just fantastic. And I love the purple, which is hard to see, but it's a purple vinyl, just stunning, stunning stuff. And those are all, I think those are all, yeah, those are all the ones that were exclusives that I liked. Uh, so my four favorite, it looks like I only did four. And then I have a bunch of finds that I had during the year that I was really excited about having. The first one was a CD. It's called Spoonful. The Tail and Tails Begin to Spin. Will Hogue, who is a solo artist, singer-songwriter kind of thing. He's the guy in front. Um, this was his band before he became just Will Hogue. Uh, One of the hardest things to find is from 1997. He must have found a box of them because he ended up selling them on his website this past year. And I have searched for 10, 20 years trying to find one, and now I finally got one. So real excited to have that in the collection right now. So, and then another CD piece that I got was Billy Idol, Shock to the System. This is the CD single that was released for the song. But what was awesome about it is, if you remember, this has the floppy disk, um, one of those small little discs from the early 90s. And it has an electronic press kit in it. It even had there was a the album was known because it had an email address on there, which was one of the first times, or a web address. So this was a really cool single that I've always kind of wanted, and now I got a copy. So I really didn't expect to ever really find one of those, but thankfully I got one. And then at the same time, I was able to get Cyberpunks, which is where this one is from, on vinyl as well. Um, One of the hardest ones to get, I think, of his collection, um, and hard to find one in really, really good shape. And thankfully, I did. And then I got a whole bunch of others. I found this one. It's ACD High Voltage. It's a UK pressing. Love that color cover. Um, Never seen it before. I mean, it's from the UK. I'm in the US. But to find one here, I had to grab it. And it's in really clean, really good shape. So I was happy to have that one. Uh, all right. And if you know, I'm a big Kiss fan. And I've always wanted to have a first pressing without the song Kissing Time. And I finally got a first pressing that doesn't have Kissing Time on it. It's got the Neil Bogart label on the back for Casablanca. Uh, it's a little rough shape, but I mean, again, it's 1970, what, 73 or 74, somewhere in that range. Um, so really excited to finally get a copy without Kissing Time on it. Just one of those, nice to have kind of things. And then recently, Noble has been putting out a whole bunch of stuff from this Voice of America collection from the radio station Voice of America. They broadcast across the globe back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, up into the 90s. And they had this massive record collection of over 100,000 records. And in that were some hard to find, I think they're hard to find, original pressings. And then I've got Steelheart, which I just picked up. You saw that from the November show. Debut album. Their big hit was I'll Never Let You Go. Just so glad to finally get that on vinyl. So one of my favorite things to grab. And at the same time, I also grabbed LA Guns debut album and the second Cocked and Loaded. Both original pressings. Um, just can't believe I got those, and they're in just fantastic shape. Um, Easily, I mean, the one of them's near mint, the other's VG plus, but just both stunning. They sound fantastic. Um, Again, really hard to find original pressings of those. When you get into the late 80s, early 90s, vinyl wasn't as printed as frequently. CDs were taking over. So anytime you can find those, they're a little bit pricey, but I'm sorry, they're worth it if I can get a hold of them. And that is my favorite stuff from 2024. So I hope you liked it. If you did, click like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Collection.